Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So, guys, before we start with the session, can you all please give me a quick information if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you for confirmation, everyone. So, my name is 𝐂𝐝𝐿𝐻𝐿. So, before we get started, let me quickly introduce our Edureka Masterclass community with you as well. So, this community of masterclasses was started back in 2019. And since then, we have been closing into almost 32,000 members so far. And in these master classes, we conduct more than 50 webinars and live events on different topics, including blockchain, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and multiple front-end and back-end development technologies. And the best part about these webinars are they are absolutely free of cost, so there are no charges involved here. And these webinars are a really great platform for anyone to learn the technology that they are interested in before entering the industry vertical of their choice. So to be a part of this group, we can simply click on join this group, and then we will be able to get notifications for every single event happening on a monthly basis. Now, our main goal here is to discuss on the concept for Selenium IDE itself, how exactly Selenium is being used as one of the main testing platforms. So here we are going to discuss on the challenges with manual testing, and then we are going to discuss on how the automation testing beats the manual testing here. And then we are going to discuss on advantages and disadvantages of Selenium, Selenium versus other tools, and Selenium suite of tools available, like we have IDE, RC, Grid, and WebDriver, with a small hands-on as well. So first of all, if you talk about the scenario in terms of manual testing, so before we deploy any application, or even if the application has been deployed, so before we can deploy any solution here, we have to make sure that we are doing a thorough testing of each and every component in that application. So let's say if we talk about simple form, now here the form may look like a simple form here, but again here we have to thoroughly test the form that it should be working fine without any issues. So for example, here we have to make sure that again it loads all the transactions, that we have to download those transactions as well. We have to create a pass and fail reports for each transactions. We have to validate the form as well, and then take screenshots for each validation as a part of manual testing process. So for example, even if we have to manually configure and again validate, okay, yes, the username should be working fine based on the condition that we defined here. The password should be entered only we should match the given conditions. The name should be their address, the country, email. So these all values should be working as per the logic that we have defined. And again, the web application here is now again, obviously we know that if we are doing the same thing again and again, it is going to be a boring task. And then plus it is going to be time consuming, the entire process of manual testing. It is going to be tedious, and there are going to be multiple mistakes that is going to be done by testers, because at the end, if anything is going to be done by humans, again, obviously there is going to be chance of error, and again that error may cost the application a lot, especially when it comes down to these small bugs, which may impact the application in the production environment. And that's where automated testing comes into play. So basically, automated testing comes in handy in large projects where, if not for Selenium, the tester would have to manually test each and every created functionality. So with Selenium, all the manual tasks are automated, and thereby reducing the burden and stress on the testers as well. So they can simply create a script, and then the script itself is going to validate everything. So we can define, okay, we want to validate if the password length should be in a given limit, then it is going to automatically test that, okay, yes, the password length is working fine or not, and if the field should be selected or not. Again, so everything is going to be automatically tested, and then we can generate a complete report out of the test as well, and that too automatically. We can even inform the team members by sending them the emails on an automated basis as a part of automation testing. So it is faster, it reduces the time, it is more accurate because we have a well-defined rule, and The system is not going to go outside the rules defined. It has less investment because again, it requires less investment in terms of the human resource. And then it supports the regression testing as well in terms of each and every manual testing in terms of the functional testing that we can say. And then here we have frequent execution so that we don't have to manually trigger the test and can be automated. And then it supports light out execution as well in terms of the web-based applications that we refer to. All right. All right. So next we have the Selenium. Here next we have Selenium. So Selenium is basically a suite of software tools. It's not just one tool here. It's a suite of software tools that is required to automate the test or automate the testing process of browser of any web-based application. So again, that's a limitation of Selenium. It is used as one of the main tools for testing web-based applications here. All right. And in terms of the support here, it supports multiple platforms, like it supports Java, Python, C, PHP, Ruby, Perl, JavaScript. It supports multiple OS as well. So okay, it is not dependent upon any kind of OS. It supports Mac, Windows, Linux, iOS, and Android. And supports different browsers. It's not limited to just one browser. It supports multiple browsers in terms of Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and Opera as well. Now, there are multiple advantages and disadvantages of Selenium. So, in terms of disadvantages, first, it supports only web-based application. That means we cannot test any other application type. Only web-based applications are supported, and only user communities are available since there is no dedicated support available, being a part of open source tool, and it is difficult to set up and use. Not that easy, especially for beginners. There is no inbuilt reporting facility available. We can integrate that with other platforms, but again, not inbuilt. It has limited support for the image-based testing. Whereas in terms of advantages, it is an open source tool, so there's no licensing fee involved here. It supports multiple programming languages. We can code in Python, in C, in Java, and supports almost every operating system that there is. It supports multiple browsers as well, like Chrome, Safari, Firefox. We have multiple web drivers for different browsers to test the application, and it supports parallel test execution. So we can create multiple scripts and they all can be executed parallelly. And it provides support for frameworks, test-ng, JUnit, and NUnit for creation of reports. So the inbuilt report facility is not available, and that is being facilitated by test-ng, JUnit, and NUnit platforms, being a part of report generation strategies. All right. And in terms of the Selenium tools, then there are multiple tools available. Like we have, if we compare Selenium with other platforms available, then in terms of other platforms, we have QTP, IBM RFT, and then we have Selenium itself. So in terms of license, again, these are the enterprise solutions, and they are not free of cost. They require licensing part. All right. And then in terms of cost, again, since these are enterprise applications having dedicated support, it is costlier. And again, we have dedicated support for IBM and for QTP as well. And since they are large-scale enterprise solutions, they require a good amount of hardware requirement as well. All right. And then here in terms of coding experience, again, no coding experience is required here. Whereas in terms of the environment support, it supports only Windows. So IBM and QTP, again, they both support only Windows. Whereas Selenium is platform independent. It supports any platform. So that means even if you want, we can code in one platform and we can execute the code in other platforms as well. And then in terms of language support, it supports VB as in Visual Basic Script. Again, and in terms of IBM, it supports Java and C, whereas Selenium supports multiple programming languages, including C, Ruby, Python, Perl, PHP, JavaScript. Multiple applications are being supported here. Now, in terms of the Selenium suite of tools available, we have IDE, we have RC, Grid, and then we have WebDriver. So IDE is what? IDE is basically a Firefox plugin. So we have these four components: IDE, RC, WebDriver, and Grid. So in Selenium first version, only IDE, RC, and Grid were available. In the second version, WebDriver was introduced, and the third version, again, they haven't simply improvised itself. All right. So if we talk about IDE, then IDE is what? It's simply a Firefox plugin which is used to create and execute test cases. So the main job of IDE is to record and play back the interaction which the user had with the browser. And using IDE, we can explore the programming code in different languages, as in Java, Ruby, Python, etc. There are multiple languages supported here. Then we have our now again, we also have multiple features as well. Now by using IDE, as we discussed, is used as a plugin, and there are multiple features available for IDE, as in we can use it to create and edit test cases. We can create and execute multiple test suites, and we can use it for debugging and enhancing the test cases. Test cases can be exported to different tools as well, and again, it enables learning of Selenium's script syntax as well. Now, there are multiple drawbacks as well. That means it supports only Mozilla Firefox. It is not suitable for dynamic web applications. There's no support available for programming logic, and its data-driven testing is not possible, and no centralized maintenance of objects or elements are available here. Then we have RC. So RC here refers to Selenium Remote Control, which is used to write web application tests in different programming languages. PL refers to programming language, and it interacts with browsers with the help of Selenium RC server. And then we have RC server communicates using HTTP GET or POST request. And the main drawback is that every communication with RC server is time consuming, and hence RC is slower. And from Selenium version 3 onwards, RC has been deprecated, and then it has been moved to legacy package. So we have multiple remote control servers here available, like based on Java, Ruby, Python, Perl, and then they all are connected to different browsers by the Selenium core. And then we have WebDriver. So WebDriver is basically a programming interface to create and execute test cases. And test cases are created and executed using elements or objects locators, WebDriver methods. That is what we are going to focus on. And then we have the Selenium IDE, which supports only the IDE itself. It does not have any programming interface. And it is fast as it interacts with browser directly, and RC needs RC server to interact with the browser. So we can say that again, the benefit that WebDriver has, it supports testing on HTML unit driver, which is basically a headless driver. So when we say a headless driver, it simply refers to the fact that a browser has no GUI, as in graphical user interface. So RC on other hand does not support the HTML unit driver, and these are some of the main reasons why WebDriver scores over the RC as in remote control server platforms. All right, and last we have the components of Grid. Now again, in terms of WebDriver, we have multiple WebDrivers available. So each browser has their own WebDrivers. For example, we have WebDrivers for Chrome, for Safari, for IE, for Firefox, for the HTML unit here. So based on whichever browser we want to test the application on, we can test that. And it supports Java, C, PHP, Ruby, Perl, Python. And now there are some drawbacks because Selenium is a tool which doesn't have any kind of inbuilt testing report capabilities. So that's why detailed test reports cannot be generated here by using Selenium. And there's no centralized mechanism of objects element. Next, we have Grid. So if we talk about Grid, then Selenium Grid is used to run multiple test scripts all the time on multiple machines. So it parallelly executes all the operations with the help of hub node architecture, and hub can control different test scripts on various browsers, OS, and various nodes, whereas hub and nodes are started using the jar files, and it supports RC tests as well as the WebDriver tests as well. That's how they are structured. So let's see a small hands-on here, just a moment. So for example, we can take the reference of any website such as Facebook. We can open up Facebook in the browser. We can type in facebook.com. So this is a Facebook's login page where we have email address, password, and the login field. Now, for example, if we inspect this page here, we can right click if we are opening this up in the Chrome browser. And then we can see different details here. For example, now here we can see under elements, we can see first of all the input type, Every input type has a given type, a class, a specific class being defined here. And then we have defined the ID, the test ID defined as a royal email. And then we have placeholders, and then we have the labels being defined here. So these are portions, again, they are basically, we can use these different classes. We can use Selenium drivers to find the element by ID. We can simply, for sending in the values, we can simply define send keys as credentials. And for clicking on a button, we can use the click method that we are going to make use of, all by using Selenium. We can start by defining the elements, and then we can simply pass on whatever we want to test on this app, on this entire application, right? So we can use a WebDriver to simply go ahead and perform a complete test. So for that, let's say if we want to perform a test, suppose let's say here we can open up our ID. We can open up any ID. For example, for the time being, let's use our IntelliJ as an ID to get started. We can use any ID. We can use Visual Studio Code. We can even use a simple code editor as well to define the entire testing code for us. We can create a new project. Suppose let's say here we name it as for Selenium in the same window. Now here we can define a simple testing code that we are going to make use of. Suppose here we name it as WebDriver class. So basically, first of all, what we can do here, we can simply create a package as well. So we can simply place it in the package. For example, we place it under simple Selenium WebDriver package as well. Not service here, but again, or Selenium WebDriver package. And here we can include the package as in, rename it. All right, so here we are going to find Selenium WebDriver, and then we are going to find WebDriver class. So here we have included the package, and now we are also going to import the other package. So here we are going to import org.openqa.selenium.webdriver. And then we are also going to import org.openqa. And then from here, we are going to import Selenium. So if in case any of the packages are not available, we can go ahead and install it. Suppose here we want to define for Firefox. So here we can define for Firefox driver. And then we are going to import java.util.concurrent. And then from concurrent, we want to define this for time unit. And then we can define public class as WebDriver class. And here we can use public static void main string argus as a public method. And then we can define system.setProperty. Suppose here our goal here is to simply look for the WebDriver here. So again, we can define the WebDriver link as WebDriver.𝐸𝐴𝐞.driver. And then we can define the link for it. So here we can define in case that is currently available here. So again, we may have it in our own local file, or we can simply define this one here is currently available with us as a part of 𝐸𝐴𝐞.driver.exe. So this is a driver that we can install here, and we can define the path where we have the Mozilla Firefox 𝐸𝐴𝐞 driver, which is basically a web driver for Firefox available. All right. So it's basically like a web driver available for Firefox that we can download. So once we define this, now here we can define the web driver. Once we call this up, next is we have to define the web driver. So we can do that. So here we can define web driver, and here we can define a new Firefox driver. Here we can define this one as a new, not view here, as a new Firefox driver. And then we can define, suppose then we can define driver.get Now here we are going to define the link that for the domain that we are going to test. For example, here our goal is to test Facebook. So here we define facebook.com, and then we are going to find driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Now we want the window of the browser should be maximized here by using driver dot manage dot window dot maximize, and then we can define driver dot get title, and then we are going to find driver dot navigate to. Now we want the driver, that means the browser should be navigated to. Suppose here we want this one to be navigated to a different domain, right? So we want this to be navigated, suppose, to a different domain altogether. Then we can define the entire path. For example, suppose here we want to take you to the edureka.co slash, suppose, testing with Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver. So we want this domain where we want to take the users, and then we can define the, again, we can define driver dot navigate, and then we are going to find we want to take back, and then we can define driver dot navigate dot refresh for refreshing the browser, and then we are going to find driver dot wait for how many seconds. Suppose here we want to wait for 5 seconds. We can define for 5 seconds for the entire wait period, and then we are going to define driver dot find element, and then we can define the element should be found by name, and then we can define the element should be found as suppose as email, and then whenever the email is found, so here we can find we want to send keys. That means what should be entered there. For example, here we can define anything @gmail.com as a value, and then we can define driver dot find element, and then we can define as by name. Now name is something that we define here already. Suppose here we define as pass because that is going to be asked, and then we are going to find send keys. And send keys, now here we are going to just define, okay, which keys we want to send in terms of password. For example, here we can keep it to any random password we want, and then we can define driver dot find element, and that we can define by name. We can define email. Now we don't have email verification, so we can skip this element for now. And then once we are done, we can simply type in as driver quit, driver quit. Thank you so much for joining, guys, and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye.